What's up, everybody? Matt Gajewski here, back again with the Stochastic Fantasy Football YouTube channel. And today we are going to be talking about some risers and fallers in best ball. The plan is to do this every single week, kind of give you guys an idea where the market is moving. And we'll do a little quick discussion on each of these players. We'll do 3 risers and 3 fallers. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. We are brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. That's where we will be referencing all of these ADPs for the show. But they have a phenomenal deal for you guys where you can get a first match deposit bonus up to $100. And all you have to do is use the promo code Stochastic to get that, or click the link in the video description below. They make it super easy for you guys. And that 100 match deposit bonus is basically 4 free entries into Best Ball Mania. You could spread that around into some other tournaments they have for best ball. And they have a lot of offerings. They have pick'em contests, which are making lineups of player props. They have daily fantasy contests, large field GPPs, tons of prizes in those, and drafts for almost every major sport going on throughout the season. And again, that's $100 match deposit bonus with the promo code Stochastic. Link in the video description. If you're concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, we are going to kick this off with some risers. The first player I want to talk about is Jalen Hyatt for the New York Giants. I actually want to talk about him in conjunction with Wan'Dale Robinson because these were the 2 players that saw their ADPs rise the most over the previous week. And of course, you're going to see more change with the players towards the back half of the drafts. When it makes sense, I'll talk about the players at the top, but we didn't see too many players within the first couple rounds move a lot this week. But with Jalen Hyatt and Wan'Dale Robinson, they were each up 12 spots and 9.8 spots. So a lot of rise on these 2 guys. And I think there's a couple reasons why. First and foremost, this New York Giants offense is one I think we just want to target. I actually made a video last week about Daniel Jones being one of the best ADP values at the quarterback position. The problem is we don't know who to stack him with. You have Darren Waller coming in, but there's kind of this logjam at wide receiver. You have Sterling Shepard and Wan'Dale Robinson coming off season-ending injuries. You have sort of career underachievers in Isaiah Hodgins, although he had a good year, Darius Slayton, and then you have Paris Campbell coming in, who's gotten some hype, but he's actually seeing his name fall down draft boards. And then all that to say, you have Jalen Hyatt, a player they invested a day 2 pick in the NFL draft. He's seeing his position rise significantly, and I think that makes sense. In these formats where we have large payout structures, especially for those that are based on the playoffs, weeks 16, 17, rookies often perform better late in the year. With the investment the Giants made in Jalen Hyatt, I do think it makes sense for his ADP to rise. This is a situation I want to spread myself to. So when these players fall in drafts, that's where I want to take them. So right now, Hyatt's been a player I'm overexposed to. I'm still fine with his ADP at 78. He's not very expensive whatsoever, and he's a very easy stacking partner with Daniel Jones, who I'm also heavily overweight on. So we'll continue drafting him, but just watch his ADP. If it continues to climb well ahead of some other players in this range, that's probably where I'll pump the brakes. Our second player here, we are going to go to, let's see where our next one is. Josh Downs. All right. Similar situation for Josh Downs, actually. His ADP is 202.9, so late round pick, wide receiver 87. He's up 7.4 spots. I think this basically just comes down on people gambling on the wide receiver 2 for the Colts. You basically have Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman certainly proven at this point. Alec Pierce, not quite so much. I think he's shown flashes, but hasn't quite put it all together. And with that said, we still don't know who the wide receiver 3 is. Downs coming out of North Carolina was a highly productive player, broke out early there, and they also spent a day 2 pick on him. So to me, this does make some sense. A lot of the same reasons that we talked about with Hyatt, rookies performing a little bit better as the season goes on, which makes sense. As a rookie, it takes time to acclimate to the offense. As a late round pick, I'm completely in on Downs. I have a fair amount of him myself, so we won't belabor this point too much. The last one is one I want to spend a little more time on for risers. A little bit surprising to me, actually. We had Chase Claypool. Now, there's been some negative press about Claypool recently, his work ethic with the Chicago Bears. But at the end of the day, this basically just comes down to a depth chart thing. If you look at who the Bears have at wide receiver, you've got DJ Moore, you've got Darnell Mooney, and then we don't really know who the 3 is. And there aren't a lot of candidates to play over Chase Claypool. We have Equanimeous St. Brown. a player who's widely underachieved throughout his career. We have Dante Pettis. Same can be said for him. Rookie Tyler Scott, who's probably the most likely to eclipse Claypool if this were to occur. But I always go back to the tight ends. We have Cole Kmet, and this team also signed Robert Tonyan. Perhaps they just decide to play more two tight end sets and keep Claypool off the field a little bit more. So what this comes down to for me is I think you've got a lot of people drafting Justin Fields. I'm excited about that too. But then if you don't hit Darnell Mooney or DJ Moore right away, you're looking at some late round players, and it's very easy to lose sight of your stacks and potentially get sniped. So Claypool, I think, is just getting a little bit inflated for that. He's up 5.5 spots this week, wide receiver 83 now. I'd prefer some of the guys we already talked about in this video over Claypool, and he'll be a guy I continue to be underweight on throughout the process. Before we get to the fallers, one other thing I want to tell you guys about is our best ball package. It's $39.95, and this gives you access to everything we have going on in terms of best ball. We have rankings, we have articles, analysis. We're going to have videos all throughout the offseason. And to take advantage of this, you can find the link in the video description below. It's $39.95. It's going to give you access to all the major platforms, rankings for each one, Underdog, Drafters, DraftKings, you name it, and we will have it. Let's go to our faller section. This is going to be a fun one. A couple players I really don't understand, actually. First one's Tim Patrick. This one I can kind of justify. Tim Patrick, of course, didn't play last year, so that's why you're not seeing any stats on the screen. ADP of 202.8, wide receiver 85. I think this largely just comes down to Denver drafted Marvin Mims. And if you look at his ADP, Marvin Mims is being drafted aggressively. Now, Denver has a lot of weapons. You've got Sutton, you've got Judy, even Dulcich at tight end. Someone's not going to play. Now, Tim Patrick's a veteran. They signed him to a pretty decent contract. And you have Mims coming in as a complete rookie and unknown at this point. Patrick's a guy I will make bets on and take stabs on in the last round of drafts. Again, to get him, it's pretty easy. But right now, he is the biggest faller of the week, down 15.2 spots. That's a pretty big drop for Tim Patrick, but I think people are just starting to realize, all right, Denver invested a pretty significant amount of capital into Marvin Mims, and they do have plans for him. Next guy, we are going to talk about Devonte Parker. Very surprising for Devonte Parker. Down 9.4 spots while he got signed to a big contract. So I actually think this could correct itself within the next week. I've done a couple drafts since the contract, and I've seen his ADP shoot up. So with that happening late in the week, I'm curious if this will correct. I'm still willing to draft Devonte Parker at his current ADP. New England is kind of bare in terms of pass catchers. And I think this is an opportunity for Devonte Parker with a quietly pretty good year. I mean, we're looking at 17.4 yards per reception for Parker, 539 yards. I don't think he's going to be the wide receiver one. And New England's offense doesn't really excite me. But when we talk about backdoor stacks, Mac Jones goes super late. He's likely to start all of the year, most of it, worst case scenario. And you've got Juju, you've got Devonte Parker, and you've got some tight ends. And who else do you have? You have Ramondre catching passes out of the backfield. Parker's going to put up productive weeks. I know a lot of people are excited about some second-year players New England has, but to me, you have reliable Devonte Parker coming off the board with an ADP outside 200. It's almost 215 now, which is ridiculous, meaning he doesn't always get drafted. Get some leverage there as well with Parker. Last one is the guy I want to spend the most time on, Brock Purdy. ADP of 181.2, quarterback 25. Had a really good year. Short year, didn't play the whole year, but when he was out there, he was the floor general of this 49ers offense, and the weapons aren't any different for him this year. You still have Kittle, Ayuk, Debo, Christian McCaffrey. And Purdy, the main concern is him not playing the whole year. He's coming off the injury. Reports indicate that he'll be ready for week one, but you have capable players behind him. Of course, Trey Lance, high draft pick for them previously. There's been some hype on Darnold. Darnold's been in a lot of bad situations, so perhaps that hype is warranted. But as a betting man myself, I'm drafting Purdy as if he's going to be the quarterback one for this team and the quarterback throughout the entire year. Another reason for the fall, in my opinion, is just the alternatives around him. You have players like CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, Kenny Pickett. These are players that have a little more job security. So when we're making picks in this range, I think people just feel a little bit better about clicking those names, knowing they're going to start the whole year. With that said, you have a little bit of asymmetric upside with Purdy, given he's a player with all the weapons in a high-powered San Francisco offense. And he also didn't run quite as much as he did in college. This is a guy that actually has pretty decent mobility. So when you're looking at his rushing statistics, like averaging a half yard per attempt, he's going to be better than that. Now, he's not going to be Lamar Jackson or Justin Fields, but he's going to give you a little bit on the ground. He's a player I've been drafting a little more aggressively recently, especially considering he has players, weapons that get drafted all across fantasy drafts. McCaffrey really early. Debo is a supreme value right now, and Ayuk goes a little bit later than that. Kittle's also really affordable. So he's a nice player you can tack on with your 15th, 16th round pick, and a guy we're going to continue to be aggressive on as long as his ADP remains in the 180s and he's around quarterback 25. Our rankings have him as a value. That'll do it for us today. Thank you guys for watching. Hit the like button again before you head out. Check out Underdog Fantasy again, get that match deposit bonus. We'll be doing these every single week and providing you all sorts of content. Until next time, we'll see you guys later, and good luck.